My name is Lauren Miller. I was 34, single, and living in a two-bedroom apartment in downtown Portland. I had a respectable job in marketing at a growing tech startup, a circle of friends I could rely on, and a solid routine that most people would probably envy. But despite all that, I felt something was missing. I was tired of playing it safe, of making choices based on comfort instead of courage. I wasn't unhappy. I was just untested. I never truly pushed myself outside the lines, never explored who I could be if I stopped living so carefully. And that thought had been sitting with me like a growing itch I couldn't scratch. It all started on a rainy Friday night in late March. I was sitting on the couch with a glass of Merlot, a blanket wrapped around me, and silence echoing in every corner of my apartment. I had music playing softly, some indie acoustic playlist that only made me more introspective. The question came out of nowhere. What would happen if I stopped holding back? If I really tested every part of myself, my courage, my vulnerability, my voice, what would I discover? I picked up my phone and scrolled through my contacts. The idea wasn't entirely formed yet, but I felt something electric rising in my chest. I didn't want to test myself in private. I wanted to invite people who had shaped my life in some way. People who had either pushed me or protected me. Friends who had challenged me, held me, left me. They all had a place in the puzzle of who I was, and maybe now, they could help unlock the version of me I hadn't met yet. The first person I texted was Tyler. We met in college. He had been my study partner for advanced writing and had always encouraged me to pursue my passions instead of just settling for what felt safe. Then there was Jessica, my old roommate from Seattle, who once dragged me on a last-minute trip to Nevada just to find ourselves in the desert heat. I also texted Brandon, my personal trainer and part-time philosopher, who believed in sweating out your demons and facing pain with pride. Then there was Amanda, my high school best friend, now a practicing therapist in Chicago. And finally, I texted Ryan, my ex-boyfriend. The one who broke my heart and, in some complicated way, still held a small piece of it. To each of them, I sent a message that was vague but honest. I'm trying something new. I want you to be a part of it.
Come to my place tomorrow night.
No expectations. Just bring your full self. It felt strange and thrilling to hit send. I didn't explain more. I didn't have all the answers myself. All I knew was that I wanted to create a space where I could step outside every rule I'd ever written for myself. If they showed up, maybe they'd help me do it. The next day flew by in a blur of activity. I cleaned every corner of my apartment, moved the furniture to create an open space in the living room, and laid out pillows and blankets on the floor. I prepared food, easy finger snacks, and a big pitcher of sangria. I lit candles, arranged soft lights, and created a playlist that was both calming and mysterious. I didn't want it to feel like a party. I wanted it to feel like a threshold, like stepping into something new. At 6:15 p.m., the doorbell rang. It was Tyler, carrying a bottle of wine and wearing his usual half-grin. "This is different," he said, glancing around. "You okay?" "I'm more than okay," I said, smiling. "You'll see." One by one, they all arrived. Jessica brought homemade brownies. Brandon brought a speaker and a towel draped over his shoulder, just in case, he said with a wink. Amanda hugged me longer than usual and whispered, "This feels big, Lauren." Ryan was the last to show up. He paused at the doorway like he wasn't sure he should enter. But then he did. And that was all I needed. We sat in a loose circle on the floor. There was laughter, small talk, even a little awkwardness. But eventually, the vibe began to shift. I stood up and looked at all of them, 5 people who had, in their own ways, helped me become who I was. "I know this is a little weird," I began. "But I brought you all here because I'm tired of being cautious. I've always lived safely. I've always done what was expected. But tonight, I want to test all of that. I want to break my own rules and find out what's underneath. Each of you has challenged me before, and tonight, I want to invite that energy again. I want to go deeper, with myself and with all of you. So no phones, no distractions. Just honesty. If you're willing." They looked at each other, then back at me. Amanda spoke first. "I think that's brave," she said. "And I'm in." The others nodded. No one left. And that alone was powerful. What followed over the next several hours can only be described as transformative. We started with questions from a deck Amanda had brought, designed for therapy sessions but perfect for what we were doing. Each person pulled a card and answered out loud. What's something you've never said out loud but think about often? What memory still haunts you? When was the last time you felt truly free? The answers were raw. Tyler admitted he feared he'd never be loved for who he really was beneath his jokes. Jessica cried as she talked about her father's sudden death and how she never grieved properly. Brandon spoke about the pressure to always appear strong, even when he was breaking inside. Amanda, always the one who listened, confessed that she struggled to connect in her own personal life because she was always helping others. Then came Ryan. He didn't pull a card. He just looked at me and said, I never stopped caring about you. I left because I didn't know how to love you without needing to fix myself first. But losing you made me realize what I'd had. His words sat heavy in the room. Everyone was quiet. My throat tightened. I didn't know what to say. I wasn't sure if I felt closure or new confusion. But I nodded, because I had needed to hear it. We moved into other challenges, emotional dares we made up on the spot. Write a letter to someone you've never forgiven. Share the last thing you Googled late at night when no one was watching. Say out loud one thing you admire about each person in the room. Some were funny.
Some made us cry.
Some made us laugh through the tears. As the night deepened, we played music and danced barefoot. Jessica pulled us all into a ridiculous group dance. Brandon showed off moves that made us gasp. Even Ryan laughed, the tension in his face softening. We weren't thinking about tomorrow or the past. Just that moment. At around 2 a.m., we settled back into the circle. I turned down the lights until the room was bathed in the warm glow of candles. I didn't know what would happen tonight, I said quietly. But I feel different now. Not because we did something wild or reckless, but because we were honest. Because I let go. I didn't know if I could invite everyone who mattered into the same space, but now that I did, I feel stronger. Lighter. Amanda reached over and took my hand. You didn't just test your limits tonight, Lauren. You redefined them. One by one, everyone began to fall asleep. We hadn't planned on staying over, but nobody wanted to leave. We lay on the floor together, cocooned in pillows and blankets, like kids at a sleepover. No drama, no pressure, just peace. When I woke the next morning, sunlight was spilling through the windows. Everyone was still asleep, and the apartment was quiet again. But it wasn't the same silence from the night before. This one was full of meaning.